There's a year when failure was following me around. In that year, I started 3 businesses. Of the 3 businesses, all 3 involved 2 common denominators, my friend and a former business partner. And in the other 2, we actually added a third party to the mix.
You see, it's not the failure that stops us, but that most stop at their first failure.
Now, one business was a digital security business called DigiTech. Ours was to come up with an innovation for security complexes where we'd be able to monitor security movements more remotely. And it was before it became actually way popular. It was a good strategic idea, but it went nowhere. We came up even with a website. We activated the website. We registered the company. And the third party that I spoke about was actually the more technical guru that was bringing the expertise to the party. Then myself was going to be how to run operations, because running an organization is something that I've grown to be quite fond of and at the same time quite good at. And the other party was more a business development element. Now, what happened is that we weren't congruent and the synergy wasn't good. And at the same time, we had too much on our plate. So that business fell flat before it even got through the ground. Then there had to be refunds around the website. There had to be refunds around the registration. We had to hire people to close the entire company for us with CIPC, and that was a mess. So it went nowhere. We made zero money out of it. It was a complete and utter failure.
Those who succeed don't stop at one failure.
The second one, similarly, was a packaging company called Packcraft. So in this company also there was a third party to it who came up with the ideas actually and came to us, presented them and asked us to partner. So what happened there is that the idea was a good one, but at the same time, again, we had a lot on our plates. So the same strategic output was there. There was the partner that would deal with business development, going to clients. There was a partner that would deal with operations, as well as myself also dealing with the issues around operations. And it was a packaging company that would go to recycling premises, recycle material, and then use that material or reuse that material for packaging purposes. The failure there, or the element that made us fail a lot there, is that we weren't quite strategic in our approach. We took packaging as an umbrella thing and then moved forward with it, not thinking about the dynamics around packaging. There's packaging with boxes, packaging with plastics, packaging, small quantity packaging, large quantity packaging. We weren't focused enough and we didn't have a niche that we're actually pursuing. We were too broad for an entity that was just starting out, and thus we failed before it also actually got traction or actually picked up in any way whatsoever.
They don't stop at 10 failures.
Then the third business where we failed was a company called Enviro Twist. So this company failed because it was also not centered around what it was good at. It used to do fumigation and pest control, but the problem is that at the time it competed with another entity that we had shares in, and so there was a conflict of interest there with the issues of fumigation and issues like that. But the issue there with Enviro Twist is that it was strategically put to go into large corporates, but it failed because unfortunately the large corporate that was actually meant to make the company big, and the connections that we had in that particular large corporate company actually failed in and of itself. So with them falling flat, inevitably we fell flat because they were the client that we were relying on the most. This one had potential because it was vast. It looked at not only issues around environmental management issues, but it also looked at livestock farming. It looked at crop farming. It looked at gardening and maintenance services. So the gist there is that it was more of a generalistic company that had great potential, but unfortunately, the many dynamics, too many parties were involved. It was competing, therefore there was conflict of interest with other interests of ours. Synergy fell off quite quickly. Money invested did not match for the partners that were involved in the company, with myself investing the most, and thus lost the most. Not only stood to lose the most, but actually lost the most. But there were also ultimately many lessons learned from this particular experience. And there's a lot specifically from this third entity that I've been able to implement in my individual life now, not partnering with other people, but also, secondly, um, other things that I seek to do in the future link up with the foundation that I built from the lessons I garnered when running that company at the time. So these were businesses that we actually got to register. We worked on websites on, we advertised, we had marketing material, we had strategic supplier agreements, but all those businesses actually failed. But the common components there is that they failed because of poor business partnerships.
They don't stop at 100, 1,000, or a million.
This video is already long enough at this particular point in time, so I won't get into my other failures, but I will get into them in future videos, because there's a business where I tried informal trading that failed. There's a business where I was partnering with a supermarket that was basically encouraging us to partner with them for the sale of cigarettes. That failed before it got off the ground, because the person who was actually leading in that idea and wanting to partner with myself actually passed away. So that idea actually fell flat. Then there was a chicken farming endeavor that I wanted to get into, and that's when I actually met 𝐿𝐿𝐜. You know 𝐿𝐿𝐜, what rip? That guy. He used to be into farming, chicken farming, and so on, and eggs. So I had a meeting with him in Midrand, and we sat down for like an hour or so discussing him actually mentoring me, discussing a potential partnership, and he was telling me how things were going, and he was starting to gain traction on Facebook with this poultry business. But for him, then it just became a lesson learned, and he failed ultimately in that business as well. We had meetings with other people that were in poultry farming, and they looked like they were going to be lucrative businesses, but unfortunately it did fall flat before it also got off the ground. I think the common theme here is that ideas are nothing if they're not executed well. Ideas are nothing if they're not executed well. So a lot of businesses fail because of execution, and execution means going out there and selling the product or service that you are actually pushing. Execution means forming strategic partnerships that actually make sense. Strategic partnerships that actually lead to growth of the company and growth of the potential that you're trying to build. Strategic partnerships that are built on hard work and not taking chances, because there are certain partnerships that I were in where ethics was an issue. There was a time where we even tried to open a tile supplier business. That also failed quite quickly, but we did meet people. So in essence, a lot of these failed because of the generalistic approach. So niche down, focus on a particular business, and then you are likely to win, versus dabbling into too many things with too many strategic outputs whilst there's only one or two of you that are trying to push that particular vision. So I thank you for watching. I admire you and I love you and I appreciate you. And I hope that there was something that you learned from this particular experience of mine. I'll see you on the next one. I love you again. Cheers, guys.